Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hi, I wanted to be transparent because I just want to go and record this. I want to talk about me as an artist and my feelings of, that I'm not good enough and feelings of competition. And it's apropos right now because, well, I'm sharing this because many of you, I told you this, I want to be transparent. Um, I think that many artists have the same feelings that I do, the same concerns, and try not to be distracted. I'll get to the point. Okay. A little bit about myself. Um, in elementary school, middle school, and high school, I grew up and I really loved writing. I especially loved television. Excuse me. Um, I love television and I love film, and I primarily watch television more frequently than I watch movies. And so I enjoyed writing little stories using the episodes, using the characters. And I built up to middle school where I wrote a short script for Star Trek The Next Generation. It may have been like 10 or 12 pages or something typed in dialogue form. But I remember in high school, I started writing episodes of television, what are called speculative scripts or spec scripts. Those are the calling card scripts, like to get somebody's attention. It's a demonstration of what you can do as a writer. And then in towards the end, and I was really proud of it. I figured whatever happened in high school, I don't know, kids ostracized me. I felt I I wasn't let into the rest of the group there, but I felt so anyway. I learned later on that's probably not really the case or whatever. Kids are weird in high school. So but outside of that, I enjoyed um I enjoyed writing scripts and I enjoyed television. And I enjoyed a bunch of other things, video games, Nintendo, and so forth. I won't get into that. But I figured that after high school or even after college, well, I figured after high school, I'd move to Los Angeles and get a job. Well, go to school, go to college. I was going to college no matter what, whether it's here where I am or in Southern California. I figured I would go to college, and then after that, I pictured myself having a job like Rod Petrie in the Dick Van Dyke Show. And forgive me, I'm gonna mention TV shows that those 20-year-olds out there, 25-year-olds out there, born in this century, born a couple of decades ago, wouldn't know about. But they matter to me. Um, so I was all hyped up, and in college, I wrote my first real feature-length screenplay called Cerberus, and then I wrote a James Bond parody um, be- because I had something to work on. There was a formula that I could work on, which was the James Bond movies, and that's exactly when I watched all those James Bond movies. I borrowed them from the library. I bought or borrowed several of them from the library each time. Each borrowing session, basically, I borrowed several of them. So I've seen all of them at least once. Each of them at least once. I've seen all of them. And I had some formula to go by, and I realized since then. Well, I'm going to mention that later on. All right. So then I want to fulfill my fantasy of meeting Madonna. So I wrote a screenplay called Manhattan Masquerade. And I talked about it a little bit on this channel. If you can find it, I made references to different places. I still think it's a good commercial, viable project. I hope Madonna would up for it because it really fits her. I mean, I didn't just create a romantic comedy and then, oh, she would be great for this. No, it speaks thematically. It has several themes. Um, that her as a character would be great for. Talks about illusion. It talks about the pressures and concepts of fame, and knowing one's personal life as opposed to the public self, and Kabbalah, and I just think it would be great. But anyway, I sent it to CAA, Creative Artists Agency, and they sent me back shortly after I graduated from college. Actually, shortly after my first major job, which was at CNN in Atlanta. They sent me back a letter saying we're not interested at this time. So that sent me into maybe my huge downfall. I don't know. It's a bittersweet period where I um I knew I had stiff competition, tough competition, like, I don't know, millions of other screenwriters are trying to get signed or get recognized or whatever. And that's one element. The other element is I wanted to do this justice. I wanted to express, there are three elements. One, I was against stiff competition. I knew it from reading all those books about screenwriting. Two, it's like trying to go for the NBA or something. Two, um, the the complex themes I envision in my head, and the arrangement of the plot, needed careful structuring. I wanted it set in the 1980s. I wanted some fast pace, but I wanted the fast pace at times to slow down and segue into personal moments between the two characters, Madonna and this guy. And I had several layers of theme underneath it, so that on the surface, it seems like some wacky, nobody knows it. Hardly anybody knows this movie, but I'm going to say Bringing Up Baby, the romantic screwball comedies. On the surface, I wanted it to seem like a romantic screwball comedy, but underneath, I wanted to talk about how Kabbalah talks about themes of garments, outer garments. Your outer persona is like your outer garment, and who are you inside, and connections between people and souls, and very spiritual um, concepts. And so I, and then the third element was, this is Madonna. I really want to oppress her, and I want to be taken seriously. So for the next about 12 years, I tried different ways in which I could write a movie, um, rewrite the movie. And I would watch a lot of television and a lot and films. And somewhere in there, DVDs became more accessible. I got a Mintech DVD player, and I would just watch movie after movie after movie. Sorry, I'll quicken this. I'll get to my point about my fear of writing well, like my apprehension about writing well. What if I'm not good enough? Basically, that's where I'm leading to with this. So I figured I need to collaborate with somebody who's more experienced in screenwriting. So I hired a ghostwriter, essentially, from, I think it was LinkedIn, and I had all these different ideas and I wanted to collaborate, and the ending script didn't turn out to be what I imagined. And I didn't want to just throw it away, throw it to some, yeah, I didn't want to half-ass it. Um, that didn't work out. That was for about a year. And then after that, I discovered the Dramatica theory, and I tried to describe it to people. One friend, was able to get some of it. It's an easy theory to understand if you get out of the certain mindsets, certain stuck mindsets. If you just approach it fresh, and you have a good teacher like I am who understands it well, there's a huge learning curve. But now that I understand it a lot better, um, I can teach somebody really well, really nitty gritty, really in depth. This theory is not By the way, I discovered it in 2012, around spring, early summer 2012. No, spring 2012. Um, this is not like just a book you read about how to write a good story. This is an in-depth, concrete. I would venture to say it's like close to physics. If you were to merge physics with creative, how the mind works, how the narrative. In fact, it was nicknamed by one of the co-founders, um, narrative science. Um, that really, really helped me uh, understand my creative instincts and creative themes, the inspired themes and how to channel them, well. It's exactly what I wanted, the structure, how to structure them well so as to communicate an argument, an author's argument to the audience. And it gave me a foundation. It gave me like guidelines, not just guidelines. It gave me a structured understanding of how to tell the story. Um, I needed an objective story. That's one of the four through lines. I had three of the four, but well, anyway, I could get into that another time. But um, so 2012. So it took me a long time. Meanwhile, I was trying to get a real job, paying job, and so forth. And so that takes me to now. Well, relatively recently, um, I had gotten into female impersonation. I wanted to perform and sing. I just liked, I don't know, something kicked off, and I liked stage illusions. I liked magic, and I liked. I haven't performed really. I was in a couple of plays, like school plays, but um, I was just so amazed at female impersonators who were really, really good at it, and that sparked my curiosity. So I started developing a female persona, developing makeup and developing the costuming and so forth. And I realized that as I developed my female voice, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm probably not convincing enough. I'll get to that later, but so I got compliments. I'll just put it that way. I got compliments. And I guess I tend to have somewhat of an easier, a voice that's easier to feminize than other guys who talk like this. Anyway, um, I would do voice practice just by myself. Um, and I realized those are the same. Um, those are rudimentary singing lesson exercises. So, and I haven't taken actual singing lessons. My mom really enjoyed music, um, and I didn't really take it up. I enjoyed 1980s music, being a child of the 80s, but I didn't really get into I just didn't take it up. I was more interested in film and drama. So, and comedy, of course. Um, narrative. I was interested in narrative. So, um, as my female impersonation skills developed and I got better and better, I started thinking about creating an album. Um, and I didn't want to just come up with weird, like drag kinds of songs. I wanted to sincerely write like actual songs. I had in mind like Belinda Carlisle and Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, not so much Cyndi Lauper, but like heartfelt songs like Pat Benatar, Laura Branigan, so forth. I wanted to come up with songs that I truly felt. If I were a female singer, I would sing these songs. So, I came up with a list of like 10 songs and then like 20, and then they became revised. And then that's when I went to a friend of mine who's a professional musician and his wife is a professional musician. And the friend suggested using Chat GPT. So I used that around the time of August of last year when I got laid off. So I've had an enormous growth in terms of where I was from August when I was laid off until now. It's basically a little over half a year, something like half a year. Um, I've gone from you just using ChatGPT to here. I wrote notes. This is what I wrote yesterday or the day before, and then these are the notes I wrote from the day before that, day prior to that, and um, ChatGPT was good, but I would go to Safari AI mode and ask questions, and so somehow I stumbled upon Gemini, and then I wanted to find out, well, which ones are better than others, which AI systems are better than others. I had a lot to communicate. I had a lot of ideas. And so, in some sense, this would be like a collaboration. Um, I could post my ideas. What about this? And I need you to come up with ideas for this. And I have an idea for this plot, and I want this in science fiction genre and so forth. And so I learned that Gemini has its strengths and weaknesses, and then Claude has its strengths and weaknesses. So I'll just fast forward. So right now, yeah. So I wrote down these are the, I didn't plan on doing this really, but these are the three or four, these are the four main US, these are foreign, and these are specialties. But these are the four main companies. Google, basically, it's Google DeepMind, OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta. And of course, there's Grok. That came out early 2026 or something. I don't know exactly where that falls. But then each one of those has, as its system, it has a tool for video, tool for text, tool for images, and a tool for audio. So because I've been flooded, it was basically a learning process. This whole thing since August, really, or since I started this, has been a learning process. So I have skills, actual experience and skills and knowledge that I can put on a resume. Um, VO, I learned what VO is. It's the video tool connected with Google DeepMind and images, Nano Bananas, the images thing at Chirp and so forth. So I learned I learned which ones are more, or which ones are better than others. Uh, Gemini is really good with creating prompts and doing research. Um, I have in mind doing a book about a certain toy franchise, and I want some way of gathering all this information I have about the franchise, which I've been working on. I wrote earlier drafts, but all this information I needed some way of structuring it. That was one primary reason for going to AI for the writing, the book writing, was so that it could help me structure. I could just say, okay, I want chapter 2 to be about how a company operates. I want chapter 3 to be about the marketing and so forth. Okay, it puts it in, and then I can put in notes. I found this out. I found this out. I found this out. Please put this in chapter 2. Please put this in chapter 3. And over time, it would build an organization, like a table of contents, like an organizational chart of what the book would be like. And then it was a secretary, an organizational helper, organizational assistant. And then I learned that Claude is better at um, human nuances and so forth. So um, that's another reason why I wanted to create this. I wanted to make a map, basically, which ones there are, with the top four, or the four primary ones in the US, and what name goes with what in terms of what tool does what, and then what are their strengths and weaknesses. And these are the specialties. These are for video generation. So, for example, I use that to generate a lot of images and video. for YouTube, my YouTube channel right here that you're watching right here. And in case you didn't know already, and that helped. And that was an exciting learning curve. I mean, while I'm looking for jobs, like anything I could get, like sweeping up or $15 an hour, or some Burger King or something or other. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but probably not exaggerating that much. Um, the rate the economy is going. There's my little political comment. So, and that's probably by bipolar, bipartisan, because both parties are probably blaming the other for the economy. But anyway, um, I learned how to produce better and better stuff. Ultimately, I want to create documentaries. The technology is finally catching up with where I with the technology is finally catching up to a point where it could be useful. All right. So, and ultimately, it's my own mind, my own creativity. I see these tools as simply tools. So, um, so this past Valentine's Day, which was a couple of days ago, um, I wanted to do something nice for my girlfriend. So, on my personal channel, uh, I I just created, and I learned how to do it. Use Gemini and I even plan to make a video on how to do it. I just haven't gotten around to making the video, but I asked Gemini, uh, I want this kind of song in this style, um, talking about these feelings I have, and give me a prompt that I can give to Claude, and then Claude can come up with lyrics and some song or some genre and technical aspects. So then I did that. I got the prompt. I fed it to Claude, which then generated the lyrics and so forth. And I fed that into Suno, and it gave me a dynamic song. And then I didn't want to leave her parents out of it. So I did the same. I did one for her mother and I did one for her father. And they really love it. And I'm honest. I was the inspiration. I was the one with the inspired ideas for what I wanted to communicate and the genre and so forth. But I do know that where it stands now, I can't copyright it. So that's why I put it on my own channel, and I'm not trying to claim copyright for any of it. Um, she said it was amazing. I got compliments, of course, but that shows how powerful Claude really is. It shows how powerful Claude is, about how powerful Gemini is, and Suno. However, I have my own, sometime back in the past few months, I have been improving and revising this list of about 5 albums plus two, well, no, 5 albums total, right? 5 or 6 albums total that I would want to perform. I want to write, compose, and perform as Samantha and my a female impersonation alter ego, and sell on Spotify, on CD, and so forth. And I can't do that without lying. I mean, basically, I'm honest. I don't want the authorities to come after me and so forth. I want to legitimately, honestly earn money and have no fear about having to turn the money away or jail time or whatever. So that's why I came up with the idea for doing this video. Um, I feel like I have great imagination. I have nearly all of the albums in terms of tracks, number of tracks, like 11 tracks or something each album. Um, I have them well organized. Gemini helped out, and I think Claude helped out in terms of sequencing which song seems to fit in which album. So, and okay, so right now it's coming back to me. I asked Gemini, I had my own list of albums, and then the tracks within each album. And then Gemini suggested an improved order, improved sequence. not only improved sequence of within the album, but improved um, assignment, which song would go with which album. And so it makes sense to me. I mean, the what it gave made sense, but I wanted a second opinion. So I gave that list to Claude, and Claude said, these are fine. This sequencing seems fine. However, it had a suggestion about moving this song from here to another one, which sounds pretty advanced. I mean, considerably. I mean, it's not like, stupid in, stupid out. It gave a recommendation. It agreed. It concurred with Gemini, um, and gave reasons. Um, so right now, I know I don't have probably a good enough singing voice, sufficient singing voice, singing capability, and my understanding, my knowledge of composing music is newbie. um, but I want to come up with music, and I want to do it the honest way. And I know there's backlash. I've been enjoyably, watching YouTube videos about the dangers of YouTube and AI slop and so forth. Um, so I asked Safari AI, I was in bed. I asked Safari AI which writing groups are good for music writers, but I'm very concerned. Here's where I really want to get completely open with you and genuine. Um, I don't want name calling. I don't want smart aleck comments, and especially in writing. I mean, everybody has their opinion. Like, oh, this guy's a news. Oh, blah, he writes trash. Or I don't want that. I just want constructive criticism. I want helping comments. And it goes back to what I was searching for when I was watching movies and TV shows all that period after CAA. And this may mean something to you in context. I was all confident until the expression you hit a wall. Well, that wall was Manhattan Masquerade. Um, I don't think that I wasted all that time because I was learning how to do things better. Um, I just needed some kind of other person to collaborate with. And that's why I hired this person, this ghostwriter from LinkedIn. And the script didn't come out, as strong as I wanted it to. Maybe that was partly my fault. I didn't have a concrete notion about how narratives are structured. And I don't mean just act one, act two, act three. I mean in-depth, nitty-gritty stuff that screenwriters don't even know about, or they have slight inklings of, but they can't quite explain why these things exist in movies. Dramatica can. Dramatica absolutely can. Um, it's dark, and I guess this is phasing. The video is phasing. Sorry about that. I just wanted to produce this video quickly while it's on my mind. So Safari AI came up with listings of music, songwriting groups that I don't have to pay for because I'm out of a job. Um, and ones that won't have smart aleck comments like, who do you think you are? And, oh, this is trash and blah, blah, blah. No, I want constructive criticism. I have these ideas. They're coming from personal experience. And that's another thing that I'm proud of. I would be changing the voice, the perspective from male to female. Like if I were performing as Samantha, I would be singing this as a woman. I mean, dressed up as a woman, technically in drag, but that would be my persona. Like Paul Rubens did Pee Wee Herman, and Cassandra Peterson did Elvira. Um, I would be doing that. It's serious, and uh, blanking eyes. Um, this other person performed as Gray Phillips. More like the one who performed as Gray Phillips, like Sirius. And I'm drawing from my own personal experience. And the nice thing is that I can change some things, some parts of the context so as to hide who I'm really singing about or what time period I'm really singing about and so forth. But they're heartfelt experiences. They're true experiences. So the upshot, what's the theme of this? What do I ultimately want to say in this video? I'm I really want to communicate myself in music, and um, AI would really help, but I don't want to cheat. I want to learn enough about it. Maybe I can know enough about it so that maybe working with uh working with Claude and Gemini can help me along in the process to at least get like a draft for each song, and then I can go further with it my own self. And I'm just concerned. I want enough of it. I want to contribute enough of it so that there's enough contribution by myself that I can legitimately copyright these songs. And I'm open about what I'm thinking about now. I'm open about having experimented with AI and so forth. I haven't, um, other than producing those videos that you see, the promos and the logos and the uh, artwork you see on this channel, which is totally AI. I mean, it comes from my own mind, but that's the stuff that I came in with. I'm going to revise, and I've learned from it. There's a huge learning curve. There's been some period of learning where I learned how to do it better. I learned more about video generation so that when I create my documentaries, I can create B-roll. I can create reenactments of like alien abduction scenes. Um, and I just don't have the money, but I'm learning how to do it so that when I do have the money, and by the way, I started a fourth wall. I've mentioned this before. I created a fourth wall. However, um, the logos I have now don't have the resolution sufficient to put on merchandise. I have in mind hats and T-shirts and hats, T-shirts, mugs, and journal covers, and a few other things. But I haven't gone forward with the fourth wall, selling the merchandise, hyping up the merchandise, because I need to sit down and have AI generate the logos with sufficient resolution so that it doesn't come out blotchy or fuzzy. It has to be at, if I remember correctly, 3,000 pixels by 3,000, or dots per square inch by 3,000 dots per square inch, to at least to be to look good, to look worthwhile, of sufficient quality to actually sell. And I won't get a lot of money I won't get a lot of money on each purchase. Hopefully there'll be a lot of purchases. Um, and I'll be completely open. I'm excited. I got a draft finished. It's 15 chapters of a book I've wanted to do. This is in addition to the toy franchise book. Um, it's about the underlying structure of the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. And it's difficult because it's not just these are the 5 books and isn't it interesting, this character, these are the themes. No, no, no. It goes far deeper than that. It explains or utilizes a theory of someone named Moshe Klein. He found a total structure within all 5 books. And then Russell Gamirkin has written some books proposing that the Torah was written not millennia ago, but well, technically millennia ago, but not like 1400 BCE or whatever, but actually more like around 270 BCE, and for certain reasons. And there are several different researchers covering very different fields, and I'm pooling together these resources because I understood and I sort of followed the documentary hypothesis, which has been the prevailing academic interpretation for how the Torah was constructed, how it was written. Um, but there was one thing, there was one bit that just could not exist. If the documentary hypothesis were true, that you had different writers over vast periods of time, I don't believe that. I believe it was an assembly. I don't think it was one author. In fact, I'm willing to bet it's not one author, because the one author would have to have been, as they say, a polymath in so many different aspects, so many different fields of knowledge, that it was probably more likely a group of people assembled utilizing, and there's evidence for this, utilizing the library at Alexandria, uh, commissioned perhaps for under certain circumstances to create the Torah. And that little bit, that I'll call, you may not know what it is, but it's called an ELS, equidistant letter sequence, at the beginning of each book. And then there's a chiasmus. See, I'm getting into these technical terms. Chiasmus, the first two books match the final two books in terms of the first lines, and there's a skip pattern, letter skip pattern, and so forth. And the middle book, it has a letter skip pattern, so forth. It's not just random guess. This is definitely in here. So that just blew away. And those lines refer to both terms for the deity in the Torah. And that can't be if one writer wrote using this deity's name, and sometime much, much later, some other writer wrote the stories that include this other writer. That can't happen unless you have the writers simultaneously writing these parts of the thing at the same time, like probably working in concert. So that just blew away, that helped to largely blow away the documentary hypothesis for me. And the documentary hypothesis was fine in its time, I guess. I mean, at least it pivoted things towards looking at it from the Torah from a critical point of view. I don't mean like going against it. I mean like finding deeper clues in the Torah. But its time has passed. This book that I wrote, 15 chapters. Well, I had the research and I had the ideas of what to put in. I fed that into Gemini, and then Gemini helped organize it into chapters. And then I need to produce 60,000, at least 60,000, well, around 60,000, I'll say at least 60,000 words to be commercially viable to be able to sell on Amazon. I fed my information into it and the organization that I wanted, what to put where. And each time I came up with it, I remembered a new thing I had to put in. Oh, they discovered this in the Torah. Oh, this can't fit because of this. And it has actually mathematical formulae that Jewish scholars and non-Jewish scholars, I like to emphasize the Jewish scholars. Jews are very smart, and a lot of them don't take it literally, the Torah literally. It's a part of our culture. I'm Jewish. It's a part of our culture. I don't believe it literally, the Torah literally, but it's very thematic, and it's probably, I would say, if my book is correct, it's like the most, if not one of the most important books that's ever been written. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, I really mean it. And sadly, people just scoff it off because they read English translations that were translated from the Greek, which is translated from Latin, which is translated, and it's a game of telephone. I know the actual Hebrew, and I've studied it. I want people to know what's actually in it. So that's what bothered me. That's that annoyance, that really irking feeling, has been motivating me to produce this. In fact, when I started the project, about, like, I'll say 11 years, well, no, it's like 10 to 16, I'll say 10 years ago, I would have on playing these videos of the atheist experience where callers were calling in, they were giving shoddy arguments for believing in God and so forth, just to keep keep me pumped, like keeping in my mind, no, 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 you don't realize there really is importance here. It kept me motivated. No, 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 no. You see, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's lifespans equate to this mathematical pattern. It's very easy and obvious if you see it. And the ages of the ones after Adam and before the flood add up to this and so forth. So I put all that in. I needed Gemini to be able to help organize it for me. Um, and then I fed it to Claude, and then Claude inflated the word count that I had for each chapter flesh it into something more like a readable text. Excuse me. So it does have, it gave me a word count, but it hit the 60,000 or somewhere around 60,000 words, which is sufficient for a book. Some book actually, I've looked into it. Many books in this genre, um, like David Roll's book ROHL. I'm giving free sound outs to sound off, sound out, shout outs. I'm giving free shout outs to people, but people like David Roll, their books, 15 chapters is reasonable for a professional, legitimate, commercially viable, justifiable book for 20 something dollars. However, the word count is low. I mean, Safari AI said it's good as a newcomer book, like a new writer. That's good. But I've seen these other writers like 85,000 words and so forth. So perhaps I can add more information in. But, uh, but, not Safari. What was it? I have to keep track of the Claude. So if I say nuance before, I meant Claude. So Claude was able to take that and then flesh it out to a 60 something thousand word count, and 15 chapters plus a preface or an introduction, author's forward, and a conclusion chapter. So I feel confident now that it's organized like that. I can go in and I can um, reword it. It should be pretty easy. So I came up with this draft and I sent it to my girlfriend, and she'll probably love it. She loved looking at the table contents, and then I said, "Do you read the rest of it?" Oh, there's more than table content. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Table content. So um, I'm going to take that. That's a base. So now I have a draft, and I'm going to go in for anybody doubting that it's, saying it's all AI slop or whatever. No, it's not. I'm going to go in and I'm going to reword it my own way. I'm going to make it sound so it doesn't have the but then again, and the M dashes and so forth. And so I'm just going to rewrite that stuff. It's Claude's AI draft. I'm going to take that. I'm going to change it enough, hopefully enough, to be copyrightable. I just took this draft that I helped to organize. It organized based on how I wanted it organized, and it put it to get my research together, what I wanted in the book together. And oh, there's something else. See, here's how one point about how it helped after I fed that in, and then I was thinking, I need to mention the arguments. I need to, first of all, begin with explaining the documentary hypothesis, and then explain the pillars, and then explain the weak parts of it. Because I asked Safari AI, like, what other elements should I include? And in the back of my mind, I wanted to have that argument. I wanted to be persuasive, and I wanted to be commercial and professional. I'll call it professional because I'm up again. I want to sell it on Amazon, and I'm up in other places and so forth. Hopefully Barnes and Noble, they still exist. But anyway, right alongside these other books on the shelf, I want to be right. I want to sell it legitimately. I want to sell it. So, um, there are several different things that Safari AI said that I should include that I haven't included. One of which was, pointing out, pointing out arguments against the documentary hypothesis. And then I would go into my own meat of my own book, the meat of my own book. And then at the end, in the conclusion, point out vacancies, areas where I'm still unsure of, so forth, for future generations or future research. Basically, this is my conclusion. This is my summation statement, but beyond being a summation statement, this is perhaps the further work that would need to be done in this theory. So what am I up to? Oh, wow. I'm up to 45 and a half minutes. So I think I'm doing pretty well. So my end statement is, as much as I think AI will be helpful, um, I will use it ethically, and I will join at least one of these songwriting groups to take my thoughts and ideas, perhaps with a draft generated from Claude or AI, and then use that as a draft, like I was talking about with the book on the Torah, to produce my own human engineered book, and by human engineered, read copyrightable. Okay, so I'll talk with you next time. Bye.
Free audio post-production by authoritative.com.